What's up, my dudes? In this video, I'm going to teach you all about Angelica Root. Now, first off, I want to say I am going to be using the dried form of this. I don't necessarily know what it's like to use the raw form of this or even use the actual plants of this. All I know is the dried up roots version that I can buy, and it's also already sifted, so it doesn't have like any of the other parts of it. It's purely just the root. Now, for Angelica Root, I specifically am noticing that it's a lot better for setting up any sort of wards than any sort of active protection. And if you don't know the difference between the two, an active protection is something that maybe you keep on your person or maybe you work with on a regular basis. And maybe it's something that's a bit more mobile and a bit more interchangeable with you. A static protection or a ward is something that basically you set the intentions, or you set up the spell jar, or you set up the whatever item you're going to be using this with. You set that up in a certain location, and then it just works like that. It sets up a perimeter that is basically just shielding everything else around this, and it's really just protecting everything that's going to be coming into this area. This does not necessarily mean that it will protect you from negative energies. It is just a ward that will basically set up a perimeter for what you're working with, and if you want to add any sort of protective elements into that, then you can. But for Angelica Root specifically, I feel like it's best used if you have any sort of place that you're going to be on a regular basis, but not necessarily full-time basis. So in a very short way of saying this is, if you're going to be maybe working at a new place, or maybe you're going to be seeing a new person and you're going to be at this place for a while, or maybe you're going to be exploring a new area, like a new zip code entirely, and maybe you're looking for new houses, or maybe you're looking for a new place to stay or something like that. This would sort of be the more general idea of what I would use Angelica Root for. It's not something where you want to keep it on you on a regular basis, because yes, it will help you feel protected and will help you with warded energies, but it's not, well, at least on its own. Again, this is just purely on its own. I'm not talking about adding it with other ingredients and compounding the effects. This is purely on its own. Purely on its own, I don't feel like it can really hold up with the protective energies that you would encounter on a day-to-day basis. It is much better for setting up a ward or a barrier between a certain place or a certain area that you want to work with. Now, this can mean either setting it up at an altar space that you have outside, or maybe if you have like I said, if you have a place that you're going to be going to that you're not going full time, like you're not going to be there every single day or at least 5 days out of the week, you're not going to be there that often, but it is something where maybe you go there and you feel like you have a lot of outside energies, you want to protect yourself from that. This would be a good thing to add with that. I'm going to be doing a different video on setting up specific wards depending on what your actual environment is and also what the protections are for, because just because you have different protections does not mean that every item would work for that. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a separate video about setting up wards, but this is just a quick video on using Angelica Root in your practice, and also different ways that you can go about creating different products or different things that you want to work with using Angelica Root. If you'd like to know anything else about different herbs or different related items for Hoodoo or eclectic witchcraft, just leave it in the comments below. I'll make a video about that. If you'd like to know more, just subscribe. Have a good day in life. Enjoy yourself and be happy.